Black is the color of beauty and royalty. A people blessed with rich culture and heritage. Africa, the motherland, the cradle of civilization and originality. We tell our stories in our own way, through the lens of the past and present. This is African history and culture. The Legend of Sango. Arabambi Olufiran or Sango, son of Oromiyan and brother of Ajaka. Sango is historically a royal ancestor of the Yoruba, as was the third Alaafin, owner of the palace of the Oyo Kingdom. According to some record, born Arabambi was also known as Olufiran to Oromiyan, founder of Oyo, and the Tapa Nupe princess Torosi. Some regarded him as the second Alaafin after his elder brother Ajaka was dethroned, arguing that Oromiyan never officially assumed the title of Alaafin before going back to Ile-Ife. At a young age, Sango played with leopard cubs and developed a wooden axe that he carried around with him everywhere. Later in time, he left the palace with his mother and stayed in a place known as Koso. There, he became an entertainer, dancing with the masquerades. He even had his own personal drum, the bata, and a drummer. He would not dance to any other beat. Neither will he move to any drummer but his bata drum. Everywhere Sango went, he went with his drummer, even to fighting contests. He was beautiful to look on. He was strong, a man of wild disposition, fairy temper, skillful in sleights of hand tricks. He had a habit of emitting fire and smoke out of his mouth, by which he greatly increased the dread his subjects had on him. This is African history and culture. Listen closely. Learn something about Africa. Sango's path to the throne. In the time of legends, Owu, a city built by Ajibosin or Asokungbade, the first grandson of Oduduwa, son of Obatala, Oduduwa's high priest, and Iyunade, first princess and daughter of Oduduwa. Ajibosin became the first Olowu after he was given a crown as an infant by his grandfather, and thereafter was encouraged to leave Ile-Ife with his mother for his father's homeland when old enough to rule, because two kings could not sojourn in the same kingdom. Owu, built by Ajibosin, at this time appeared to have been more powerful after many kings reigned and flourished. But at a time, after the death of their uncle, Oromiyan, Owu compelled his cousin, the peaceful Ajaka, the son of Oromiyan, who succeeded the first Alaafin and founder of Oyo, to pay tribute to him. Oyo chiefs and warriors were disgusted and infuriated by this act of disdain and disrespect by Owu to the Oyo people. But Alaafin Ajaka, peaceful, was willing to succumb to the demands of Owu, the foremost military force of the region, and by extension, the whole of Yoruba land in those days. This action by Ajaka forced the Oyomesi, Oyo Senate and Supreme Council, to summon Sango from his mother's land in the Nupe territory to succeed his brother Ajaka, who had been deposed by them, presumably because he was seen as too weak to respond to the Olowu's demands. When Sango assumed office as the Alaafin, logically the third in the series, being a much younger man, the Olowu meant to take advantage of his youth He demanded the tribute of him, but Sango refused to acknowledge his primacy, notwithstanding the Olowu's threat to deprive him of his wives and children. Consequently, his capital was besieged. A sharp fight ensued. Sango defied the Olowu and was able to repel his attack, perhaps aided by Elempe of the Nupes, who were also under the sovereignty of Owu. He also displayed his wanted bravery as well as his tricks, volumes of smokes issuing from his mouth and nostrils. It so terrified the Olowu and his army that they became panic-stricken and were completely routed and put to flight. Although another version of this story believes Oromiyan left Oyo in the care of his son Ajaka and the Oyomesi, but Owu developed into a fine kingdom with the best military in the area, with which they subjugated Oyo. Then Ajaka, the Alaafin, was captured by Owu soldiers. The Oyo generals were confused, leading to heated disagreements between them on how to address this situation. To prevent a total state of anarchy, the Oyomesi invited Olufiran or Sango from the Takwa lands to take command as regent in place of his brother. This is African history and culture. Listen closely. Learn something about Africa. Immediately after taking charge, Sango restructured the Oyo army, leading the rescue mission to Owu, where he succeeded in bringing his brother Ajaka back to Oyo. But the Oyomesi dethroned Ajaka as being too weak to lead and made Sango the new Alaafin. Whichever way, Sango became Alaafin, placing each of his generals in strategic locations to keep the mighty Owu in check. He also undertook successful campaigns to liberate some villages from Owu. Sango pushed on his advantage, and with every fresh victory, he was the more firmly established on the throne. He went on to embark on a heavy program of militarization, purchasing war horses in huge numbers from the Badiba and Nupe neighbors in order to sustain his independence and expand the Oyo territory. Alaafin Sango, seeking for greater powers, he approached his Babalawos, diviners, for ways to make his enemies perish instantly and flee permanently. A force of terror in Yoruba land. The diviners came up with a formula. A charm was prepared for Sango with a fine stone called Edunara. This Edunara enabled Sango to conjure lightning and thunder at will. This stone was so powerful, fabricated to embody the power of lightning and thunder. Eventually, Sango became engrossed in exploring the powers of this Edunara, so much that he was completely possessed by the spirit of thunder and lightning. He became a terror and horror to his enemies, but he was also a tyrant to his people, as he simply abandoned them on his quest for power. The welfare of Oyo under Alaafin Sango was not excellent because he was a warlord who went to acquire powers to become invincible. Sango, Alaafin Oyo.
Sango de oro oko ya o, agbe na genge abike lẹ́nu Ọya.
What happened to Oyo Empire as Alaafin Sango went about subscribing to power and seeking ventures to become stronger? How many wives did Sango marry? And how did the great warlord die? All this detail in our next episode. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, comment and share. Spread the love. Thank you for following African history and culture. Our next episode will be another interesting piece of African history. Remember, be proud of your heritage. Be yourself.